Welcome, Middlers, to the Medium in the Middle podcast. My name is Stephanie, and I take you on a journey of self-discovery and spiritual exploration. I am a Reiki master teacher, a spiritual and business mentor, and of course, a psychic medium. And I am here to share my story and help you tap into your extraordinary abilities. Join me every Wednesday as we dive into the realms of intuition, energy healing, and all things mystical. Whether you're a seasoned spiritual seeker or just dipping your toes into the magical waters, this podcast is your go-to source for inspiration, guidance, and a whole lot of lessons and laughter along the way. Let's get started. Hello, Middlers. Welcome to episode 287. My name is Stephanie. I am the medium in the middle, and I am back with a new microphone. How does this sound? So there's actually a little bit of lore about this microphone. It's not new, it's old. This is actually the first microphone I bought when I wanted to start a podcast way back in 2019. March 2019, to be specific. I remember purchasing this from Amazon. And at the time where I was recording, I couldn't get the levels right. So I tried for weeks and weeks, and this microphone was just not working for me. And it wasn't until a friend gave me my old microphone, the Blue Snowball, that I've had for the last 6 years. And it just made me think about all the roadblocks that you have to go through when you want something. So for a long time, it was the microphone. And then the microphone I bought didn't work. And then I was moving my computer to the room, to a closet, to the kitchen, to the bathroom. I was building forts. I was putting blankets over my head. I was sitting on the floor. I was doing all of these things. And then I couldn't start because I didn't have a name. And I didn't know what the podcast name was going to be. And then I couldn't start because I didn't have an intro. I was asked on Instagram recently how I got the name Medium in the Middle. And it was from sitting at a bar. I had a friend coming to visit Banff, and we were at a bar after work. She came to see me at work, and then we went downstairs for a drink after. And I was telling her all the crazy stories, episode 1 to 10. And I was like, I need to make a podcast. I just can't think of a name. And I bought the microphone, and I did all of this stuff. So we were going through my brainstorming list, and she was helping me think of names. And then she said, what about Medium in the Middle? Kind of like Malcolm in the Middle, because you're in the middle. And it was such a eureka moment. I was like, oh my God, that's it. Medium in the middle. I have to go home and I have to begin. And there were so many excuses that I had that I didn't start. I bought everything in March and I didn't launch the podcast till August. So 6 months of excuses, 6 months of delaying, 6 months of stalling before I finally got the equipment, figured it out. I had to buy a new laptop as well. That was a whole other thing I had to overcome because my old laptop wasn't compatible with the microphone and with the recording systems. So there was just so many roadblocks. I'm like, okay, I got to buy a new laptop, $2,000. Okay, I need to buy some equipment, a couple $100. Okay, I need to. And it was just all of these things that were put in my way. But when you want something, you have to keep pushing. So someone asking about my name just made me remember about all the reasons why I could have never started this podcast over 6 years ago. And also my reminder to you that roadblocks don't mean stop. It's just a test to see how bad you want it. What if we make your microphone not work? Still want it? And I feel like I've been given the runaround this time again. Hey, you still want a podcast? My old mic stopped working. I bought 2 new mics. They were awful. I hated the sound. And then I was going to order a new mic, but they're $400. I was like, do I want to spend $400 on a microphone? And then I had this old mic from when I first started the podcast, but it didn't have the cord. So then I was going to order the cord. Then I was going to go to the store for the cord. It's just all of the behind the scenes stuff. And then I was going to buy a new mic, and then I shouldn't get a new mic, and then I should get a new mic, and then, if I'm going to get a new mic, I should wait for Black Friday. But I can't wait for Black Friday because I had to record this week's podcast. So we are saved by the cord. And I'm considering this a $400 savings because I don't have to buy a new microphone. So in honor of my new microphone, my new old microphone, in honor of the original microphone that should have started Medium in the Middle back in 2019, we are going to a mediumship story today. My uncle passed away last week unexpectedly, And in the first 3 days after his passing, a lot of things happened. And I want to share them with you, not only because of the mediumship aspect, but also just as, even if I wasn't a medium, as an everyday person, the synchronicities that occurred were mind-blowing. Again, even as a medium, I was like, holy cow, this stuff is crazy. Now, I haven't had someone close to me pass in a long time unexpectedly. My papa passed, I think 8 years ago now. And then since he's passed, there has been some family members that have passed, but I've always known they were passing. So I had someone in the hospital, and he was in and out of the hospital a lot. And I was like, oh no, like this is the last time he's going in the hospital. He will not leave. There's another close family friend that was passing. Again, I knew that she was going to be passing. So, and not that knowing helps, but in these cases, it definitely softened the blow because they were expected, I suppose you could say. But this was a family member that was unexpected. And yes, just the synchronicities that I have are, I can't even put to words, but I will put to words in this podcast. But before we jump in, I have a lot of announcements to wrap up 2025. I cannot believe we are going into the last month of the year. I know I keep saying that. Holy moly, a year has passed. The first announcement is you will be very happy to hear intuitive card readings are officially up on my website. There are 20 minutes and 30-minute readings available. This is available for everybody. You don't have to be on my email list. You don't have to be on my client list. My client list got first dibs, but there's still a few readings left for 2025, so I opened those up, and you can now book that on my website. Readings are available in person in Banff, Alberta, and also virtually, and they are held live via Zoom, so you attend, we talk, you tell me what topic you want, you tell me what theme, you can ask follow-up questions. So that is all open on my website, themediuminthemiddle.com. My mentorship program for 2026 opened yesterday, and it is over 50% sold out, but there are still a few spots left. So if you are looking for a mentor in Reiki, mediumship development, intuitive development, or if you're starting or growing a small business, my next round of one-on-one mentorship starts January 2026, and we will work together until April. It is 6 calls scheduled over 12 weeks, and there are 2 start dates. So you can start your rotation the week of January 13th or the week of January 20th. The program is less than $1,000, and it's on a payment plan. And I have not raised the price on this program in years. 6 calls, 12 weeks, January to April, if you are feeling like now is the time. There is an application process, but it's just to ensure that I can actually help you with what you're looking for, and it helps me build your client file. So when you apply, it's just asking you what you would like your focus to be on so that I can ensure that I can actually help you before you register. I'll leave all the links you need down below in the show notes. You have one more chance to learn Reiki in 2025. The last level 1 course of the year is December 6th and 7th, and the last level 2 course is December 13th and 14th. Reiki trainings will be back in the new year. I'm not sure if they will continue to be monthly. I'm going to bring back some of my most popular workshops in the new year, kind of bigger and better. I used to do meeting in the middles where every month I would do a meeting where I would teach on something different. And then I stopped doing those. So I think we're going to bring that back in the new year. We're going to mix it up. So Reiki trainings might not be every month in the new year, but they will still be very often. Speaking of those courses, because I'm going to be redoing them all in 2026, I'm having my biggest Black Friday sale ever. I've never put these courses for this amount of money, but my Black Friday sale starts on Thursday and it will be ending on Monday, and it is 30% off all of my recorded courses and workshops. Included in the Black Friday sale, 30% off the Space Clearing Workshop, Space Clearing 101, How to Manifest Workshop, How to Listen to the Universe Workshop, How to Use a Pendulum Workshop, Crystals and Chakras 101, How to Set Spiritual and Personal Boundaries Workshop, one of my most popular Let's Manifest Money workshops. I am also including in this sale, I cannot believe it, but I am, the Strategic Business Planning Masterclass is going on for 30% off. So although it is late, you can still do it. We still have all of December to plan. your 2026 business. I've never put that on sale before. I also stopped selling that at the end of the year because you need to pre-plan for the year. So the Strategic Business Planning Masterclass is only available until the end of 2025. And like I said, I can't believe I'm doing it, but the Advanced Reiki Practitioner Masterclass is also going on sale. So if you've been thinking about those things, 30% off just this weekend only. And then all of those courses are going to be brought back bigger and better in 2026. I'm going to update everything. So get them while you can at a very, very good deal, because when they come back, they will, of course, be more money. And quickly, my last announcement. My 2026 calendar is not open yet for booking. It will be open very soon. I will make a post on Instagram and send an email as soon as my 2026 books are open. I do still have a few appointments left in December, so if you want to book Reiki, readings, whatever you need, there's still a few left this year. Now that we've gone through all of the end of the year announcements, holy moly, let's jump into the episode. Okay, so as with all things spirit, we have to go back and talk about all of the little things that are relevant that you don't realize are relevant until after the fact. So again, this is my life, this is my job, this is what my trained eye is meant to see. But seeing this all come together was just too much synchronicities, too much. Let's start at the beginning. And I'm going to give you exact dates because this is important. So on November 10th to November 15th, my cousin and my aunt were visiting. And on that week, we were talking a lot about family stuff and blah, blah, blah. And we were talking about my uncle that passed a lot. My aunt moved out west because he moved out west. My aunt named her kid after him. We were just telling stories and laughing, and we were just talking about him a lot that week. And I also hadn't seen my aunt in years and years and years, but we finally planned this girls' trip to meet up in Banff. My cousin was here. We did a whole week thing. Lots of family stuff, lots of bonding, lots of storytelling, but we were speaking about my uncle that passed so much. And as we were talking about all these stories, I had a bad feeling. And I just had a feeling that one of my dad's brothers was going to pass, but I did not think it was the one who was going to pass. He was absolutely not on my radar, but I just had a feeling. I was like, ooh, like we were telling all these stories and we were talking about all the brothers and sisters. My dad is one of 5. And I just had like a pit in my stomach, but it was very fleeting. Like it came a few times and I was just thinking like, oh, maybe I'm making it up. Oh, maybe it's in my head. Oh, don't doom and gloom. So they left on Saturday the 15th. He passed on the 17th. I go to the gym every day at the same time. I go to the gym every day at 11 a.m. For some reason, on Monday the 17th, I went to the gym at 5:30 p.m. When I tell you I haven't been to a p.m. class in probably over a year, I don't go to the p.m. classes. I go at 11 a.m. And when I went to that p.m. class, everyone was like, oh, what are you doing here? Oh, are you confused of the time? Oh, what are you doing here? What are you doing here? So I never go to a p.m. class. I don't even know how I ended up in that 5:30 p.m. class. I also never bring my phone with me to the gym. Whenever I go to the gym, that's no phone zone. And whenever I walk my dog, now it's dark at 4 p.m., so I have to bring my phone to see. But normally, I don't have my phone when I walk the dog or when I go to the gym. We're addicted to our phones, and those are the 2 times a day I'm not looking at it. So I was randomly at the gym at 5:30 p.m., and I brought my phone. And I cannot remember why, but I remember leaving the house being like, I should bring my phone. And I grabbed it when normally I wouldn't. So we were doing a workout that was 4 rounds. And in between each round, we had a minute break. And after the 3rd round, I was thinking to myself, oh, I should check my phone. And then I was like, why would I check my phone? Why would I check my phone? I'm in the middle of a workout and we only have 1 round left. When the round is done, I'll be done the workout and I'll check my phone. So I did the last round of the workout and then I was taking off my shoes and grabbing my coat and I opened my phone and I had a bunch of missed calls from my dad and a bunch of missed calls from my cousin and lots of text messages being like, call, it's important, call, it's important. And the times that they were calling and texting me would have been after that 3rd round when I was thinking to myself, oh, I should check my phone. intuitively and energetically, I could feel that. And I could feel that sense of urgency of like, why am I wanting to check my phone? Oh, because your family's calling. That's why. So I don't know how this all started, but of course, when your family calls, you think that someone died. And just like with the amount of calls and the amount of text messages, I was like, oh, like for sure someone died. And I instantly was like, oh yeah, I had a bad feeling last week. I kind of know who this is going to be. So I call back my dad and I'm walking out of the gym door and he tells me that my uncle had passed, not the uncle that I thought that was going to pass. And even though I like expected the call to be that someone had passed because of the text messages and the missed calls, I was instantly like wailing. I fell on the ground and I was screaming, and you know what happens when you hear bad news. It was so kind. There was like some strangers in the hallway that just came and like held me as I was crying on the floor. They're like, "Are you okay?" And I couldn't even bubble out anything. I was like, "Oh." So thank you to those kind strangers. But anyways, we found out the news and I cried on the floor in front of the gym for a while before I could finally walk home, and then I walked home. Then I'm sitting at home and still crying. And grief is so weird. I'm like, I don't know what to do. Like, I was home from the gym, and then I was just like, I feel like I should do something, but I don't know what to do. So I made cookies. So I was making these cookies, and I was just in my kitchen. And then the cookies were done, so I was sitting on the couch, and then I started hearing like noises in my kitchen. So I'm looking over at the kitchen. And I'm looking over at the kitchen, and I'm looking over at the kitchen, and I'm like, what the hell is going on? I'm like, oh yeah, duh, Steph. And then my dog started looking over at the kitchen, looking over at the kitchen, looking over at the kitchen. And then his head was, dit, 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 dit. And I was like, oh, Archie feels it too. Like, I'm like, okay, like, hi, uncle, you're here. Like, okay. So that night was spent mostly on the phone, calling family and crying, yada, yada, yada. However, these things are all not the purpose of this episode. The purpose of this episode is the next thing that happened. Okay, so before we go into the next part, we need to lay some information so that this all makes sense. So this is all relevant to the story. So right now, my doors for mentorship are open for 2026, but mentorship just ended on November 20th. So this round started in August and it ended on November 20th, but most people ended in the first few weeks of November. So with my mentees, if you're developing in mediumship or psychic or readings, whatever you want, I will send you practice people. So usually people want like 2 practice people a week, but this round I had multiple people that wanted like 4 practice people a week. So I was using a lot of practice people. For my mentees, I use my Reiki students as practice people. So if you're one of my Reiki students, we have a private Facebook group. In that private Facebook group, I say, hi, I have another round of mentees. If you're interested in being a sitter, write your name and email and time zone, and I will set you all up. So I have these lists of probably 80 to 100 people of people that want to be sitters, and then I set them up with my mentees. I have been doing this this is my 19th round. Again, this is all relevant. Now, I only use my Reiki students as sitters. Number one, just logistically, it's easy. I have them all in one spot. I have their email, their time zone, and also I know my Reiki students. I give them instructions of what I need them to do to be a sitter. I know that they'll be supportive, all of those things that you need. But for some reason, this round, I was like, oh, maybe my friends and family would want to be sitters. So I reached out to 3 of my friends who all have close loved ones that are passed. And I reached out to my cousin and I said, hey guys, like I have a lot of people needing sitters this round. Does anyone want to sit for my mentees? And my 3 friends and my cousin all said yes. So I had them also on my list. Again, this is all relevant. I had sent my cousin to one of my mentees when I tell you weeks ago. I don't know if it was September or October, but it was a long time ago. I had sent her to set up a reading, and all my other friends were also setting up readings with this one mentee because they were all telling me, oh, I have my reading with so-and-so tomorrow. Oh, I scheduled my reading with so-and-so for next week. Oh, I just had my reading with so-and-so. Do you want to hear about it? So Q2, the day my uncle passed away, he passed away at 6 p.m. That morning at 9 a.m., my cousin had been going back and forth with this mentee trying to schedule their practice reading. The Monday morning, they finally picked a day, and it was that Wednesday. So he passed on the 17th. They planned for it to be the 19th, but they planned for it before he passed away. So after my uncle passed away, my cousin messaged me and she said, by I'm sure no accident, I finally picked a day with your mentee on Monday for a booking. We've been going back and forth, back and forth. We couldn't find something that worked out. And I have my reading now tomorrow on the 19th, on the Wednesday. And I was like, oh, I'm sure there is no accident for that. You finally booked it on Monday morning. He passed Monday night. And now your reading's in 2 days from now. So Wednesday comes and she has the appointment with my mentee, and I'm anxiously awaiting for her to call me after. And she called me and she said that our uncle did come through. It started off with our papa, and he said his child is here who died prematurely, and he brought in our uncle. And it was so interesting because she was telling me like quickly some of the things, and he hit almost everybody. Like he had a message for me, he had a message for her, he had a message for his kids, he had a message for his grandkids. And one of the like most beautiful things he said was, it's a party over here. You remember the wedding? And he started talking about one of his son's weddings, and he said, it's a bigger party here, and you get to wear a party shirt, and you get to be whatever age you want. And he was like a big party guy, and just like talking about how it was a big party and how he's fine. My mentee even got his name correct. She had written it down in the reading before. She was like, he was trying to get through like all day in my readings. So when he finally came through, I was like, oh, this is the guy that's been bothering me all day. And another thing that he said was he was talking about his dogs. And when she was telling my cousin, she gave 2 initials of the dogs. And my cousin was like, I can't think of it right now, but like I'll write it down. So she gave 2 initials of 2 dogs that he had. And I was like, yeah, I remember his dogs, but I also didn't remember their names. And this was only 2 days after he passed. It had not even been 48 hours. So I was blown away that he came through, especially to a practicing mentee. Some mediums can get souls that have just passed. Some mediums cannot get souls that have just passed. I'm not great at it at all. I think the soonest I've done it is a week after, but some people can do it the very next day. And as a side note as well, the mentee, when her mother passed away, she had a mediumship reading, and the medium made her feel really awful about like how her mom can't come through and souls can't come through that early, and she wouldn't come through and she didn't come through. And she said in the back of her mind, she's always had this idea that like, oh, her mom wasn't ready and she didn't come through for her, and souls can't come through early. So she was like, your uncle also taught me that, yes, they can. Souls can come through. That medium made me feel badly, but I was right. My mom could have came through. So I was like, oh, like he did healing for you as well. So anyway, so one of the messages was he's with his dogs. She gave the 2 letters of the dogs for their name. And then we were obviously telling all the family. So I said, you have to tell the family. I said, I'll give them the heads up because I'm the woo-woo one. So I'll be like, hey, our cousin had a reading. She's going to share it with us. But here are a few of the main points. So when I messaged one of his son's wives, I was messaging her a few of the details, and I mentioned the dog, and she said, that's so beautiful because we just told their oldest daughter that her grandpa had passed away. And she said the first thing that their daughter said was, oh, is he with his dog now? She said the name, but she said, oh, is he with his dog name now? That was the first thing she said. And I was like, oh, so the dog was relevant. And then when I told my aunt, I was telling her a few of the details as well. I was texting her. And the first question she asked was, did he say anything about his dogs? And I was like, yes, actually, he did. I didn't include that piece in the first part because I didn't realize how relevant it was. But now 2 people that I told, the first question they asked were about the dog. And it's just so special how like one little message can be so important. And another thing that was really special, especially for my cousin, the last time she saw our uncle was this summer, and they were visiting my aunt out in BC, and they went on a big fishing trip. So it was a big family fishing trip, and they all went on a boat, and our family's all into fishing, and I don't know, it was a big fishing thing. And she said in the reading, right at the end, she said, just before you go, your uncle's holding up a bag of fish. And it was just so funny because the last time she saw him was on a fishing trip, and the fact that he was just standing there holding a bag of fish. Also, what a weird thing for a medium to say. And it was a really beautiful experience. Like, again, knowing that they're okay and hearing all of these things less than 48 hours after he passed. And again, I know I'm a medium and I do this all the time, but haven't been on the receiving end of needing a message since I've become a medium. And because this was an unexpected death, there was more of a need, I would say. Like, I've practiced a million times. And my grandma comes through, my grandpa comes through, other people have come through, but I don't have like a huge need for a message. I feel them around all the time, and it's just, another day. But when he passed suddenly, and then hearing the news on Monday that she had the reading booked for Wednesday, and then her connecting on Wednesday, and him just saying so many things that were so relevant for so many people, me, my cousin, his kids, so he has 3 boys, their children, so his grandchildren, his sister, like, just, it was so beautiful how just these little messages were so meaningful. And I was like, oh yeah, this is why mediumship is so important and beautiful and special and healing. Again, another message of how beautiful and healing mediumship is. I hear you guys. So I'm going to the funeral this weekend, and it's in Kelowna, BC, so I'm flying there. So on the one day, we are having the public funeral with everybody, and then the next day we're doing a private family gathering of all just us. And I think we're going to listen to the recording when we're all together, because everyone was very interested in it, and it was all like, oh, we can't wait to see you guys and like listen to it. And as I'm calling like my dad and his brothers and sisters, they were all together, I was telling them about it. And they were like, can't you do this? And I was like, yeah, but I'm too close to it right now. It's been less than 48 hours. And they were like, well, why can't you do this stuff for us? And they were all like, we want a reading with this girl, and no. So I was like, well, if you guys want to do a whole little seance thing on the Sunday, like, we could listen to the recording and then see what happens. So we'll see what happens. And I'm sure if something happens, there'll be another podcast episode about it. And then just, again, looping back to earlier when I had made the cookies the night that he passed, and I was sitting on the couch looking into the kitchen, hearing weird noises. It wasn't until I posted a reel on Instagram about that someone commented, of course your uncle was in the kitchen, you were just making cookies. And I was like, oh, I didn't even put 2 and 2 together. So this episode is just about synchronicity after synchronicity after synchronicity. What are the odds? What are the odds? What are the odds? The fact that me, my cousin, and my aunt were together, literally talking about him all week. Like, we talked about him every single day. We talked about his kids, and we just talked about everything. And then him passing, me being at the gym at a time I'm never at the gym. So I found out when I was at the gym, me never bringing my phone to the gym. And then I randomly brought my phone. My cousin making that appointment the morning of his passing for 2 days later without even knowing. Him actually coming through in that reading, which is incredible, and saying so much. Like, apparently he talked for almost an hour. And then also the, brief notes that I got of the message so far that hit so many people. And while we were delivering those messages, it hit me, my cousin, his kids, his grandkids. And the big thing for me that I kept saying to everybody when we're all crying on the phone together was, I was really sad that his grandkids won't get to know him and just how cool he was. He was the life of the party. He was so positive. He was just like one of those people. Like, everyone was saying, like, this is a big loss. He will be missed. And it's so true. It is such a big loss, and he will be missed. But anyways, I was just, everyone I talked to, I was like, but the grandchildren won't know him. Like, we need to write them letters. We need to like let them know his personality. Like, they won't hear his laugh. They won't hear his stories. They won't hear, how crazy he is. And when he came through in the reading for my cousin, he said something about the grandkids and someone's very worried about the grandkids, and someone's really going on about the grandkids. And then my cousin was like, I think that's you. And I was like, yes, it is me, because I instantly thought about his grandkids and what they're going to miss. And even though he's out west and I didn't see him all that much, when I did, it was meaningful and impactful and memorable. And yeah, we're the out west crew. So it's my aunt and my uncle live in BC, I live in Alberta, and everybody else is in Ontario. So we are the black sheep that are out here, out west. Another synchronicity, when my aunt and cousin were here visiting, we all were going to get matching tattoos. So we found this matching tattoo that we were going to get. It was on It was a piece of art from a gift that my aunt got us. It was beautiful. And then I was thinking, and I was like, oh, like we're kind of the black sheep of the family. And, we're all together. We're having this week together. Anyway, so after we decided the matching tattoo, the next day I had thought about it and I was like, we should also get black sheep tattoo, like little black sheeps, because we're all the black sheep of the family from different generations. And we were like, yeah, like, so we all got little black sheep tattoos. And it was really cute, but we were like just thinking our uncle would have been a black sheep with us. Like he was one of us. Yeah, it was just so many synchronicities. It blew me away. And this is my day job. Like I do this all day, every day. But it was like, oh yeah, this is why this is important and special and healing. So healing. It was so comforting, as lame as it sounds, to just know he was okay. It was so comforting to hear him say he was at a party wearing a party shirt. He always did that. My mom and my dad always talk about how he showed up late to their wedding wearing shorts and a party shirt. And that was like my grandma, when I told her that he passed, I was like the one that showed up to mom and dad's wedding in shorts and a party shirt. And they've been long split for years, but we still talk about him showing up late to the wedding, getting off the plane in shorts and a party shirt. And, when that photo's going around right now for his memorial, it's just like, that's who he was. And he always had a Caesar in his hand. So cheers, Uncle. We lift a spicy Caesar to you. Keep sending me signs. I look forward to all the future communication. I know I'm lucky enough to have this gift and be able to communicate to spirit a lot. But this was so unexpected, and I haven't experienced unexpected loss like this. So very, very different experience. And I had to share it on the podcast. So that's what I have for you this week. The beautiful signs from my uncle, signs and synchronicities from spirit. Still blows me away after, almost 8 years. I don't know how long this has been going on for almost a decade. I've been doing this and had these experiences every single day. But it's still amazing and magical and beautiful and special. And it really is magic. It just is magic. You can't fully explain it. You can't fully understand it. It's just magic. Thank you for listening. Thank you for listening about my uncle and how cool he was. All the links you need are down below in the show notes if you want to book a Reiki training, to catch the Black Friday sale, mentorship. If you want to book a card reading, it's all linked on my website as well, themediuminthemiddle.com. I release new episodes every Wednesday. There'll be 3 more episodes this year before we take a little break over the holidays. But until next Wednesday, Middlers, when I see you in your ears, I hope you have a wonderful week. Bye.